it's a no-brainer, as it were, that the world is now a global village with the continued evolution of technology becoming inevitable for human survival every day. Now, there is a global paradigm shift with the trend and heavy demand on the knowledge of technology towards solving human problems on a day-to-day basis in today's world, making technology the most sought-after skill. Now, in Nigeria today, there is a skill deficit, as I mentioned earlier, across the board, especially in the public sector. And private partnerships or private sector partnerships with these public sectors have been seen to contribute majorly to development, from infrastructure to service delivery, etc., etc. Now, public-private partnerships play a vital role in driving growth. But what happens when the public sector lacks the skills to effectively implement partnerships? That's exactly where the innovative use of financial technology comes in to bridge the skills gap. Now, we'll talk about this and much more on the program this morning on Market Insight. Now, we're being joined today by Dr. Temitope Akinsemoyin. She's a public administrator, management consultant, and also the founder and principal partner and CEO of Stanchion TM Consult FG, leading the firm providing innovative solutions through technology. She's with us here in the studio. Good morning, Dr. Akinsemoyin.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
And also joining us virtually, I reckon she's somewhere around the corner, Ms. Sheneya Wilson. She's a leading finance expert and a fintech professional. She's the founder and CEO of FOLAFi Financial LLC, which is a premier financial services firm that delivers comprehensive accounting and tax solutions, also known as the People's CPA. As she joins us also virtually, hoping we can get her on pretty soon. But before we delve into the conversation, we'll take a very, very quick short break. Come back, the heart of the matter. Welcome back to Market Insights here on SOUQ News Television. Now we are, as I mentioned earlier, talking about the skills gap, bridging the skills gap in the public sector using fintech vis-a-vis public-private partnerships. And once again, we're joined by Dr. Temitope Akinsemoyin. She's a public administrator and a management consultant. She's with us here in the studio. Also joining us virtually is Ms. Sheneya Wilson. She's a leading finance expert and a fintech professional. Ms. Wilson, can you hear me? Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning.
To you too. But we're going to start the conversation with Dr. Akinsemoyin, who's with us here in the studio. By the way, compliment, you look absolutely fabulous, Doctor. Right, so let's talk about your forte, which is where you play in the public sector in the country. By your assessment, seeing as you're a stakeholder there, what would you say has been the contribution so far to, national development? A lot has been said, and a lot is still being said about, the public sector or the public space in Nigeria as of today. What are your assessment?
I get that.
What is your assessment of the public sector in Nigeria and its contribution to national development?
Okay, thank you very much. Public sector is something that keeps growing and there's room for improvement. And we can't use a carrot stick approach to everybody, because I think each sector of the public sectors, each sector there, they have their growth. Like the health sector, for example, they have like maybe an astronomical growth. The agriculture can have a different type of growth. So I don't think we should judge them based on just one yardstick. But in total, I think they are doing well. Maybe not fantastically well, but there is also room for improvement. So I think that's what I would say.
All right. Now, I reckon that for the employees to function, or the stakeholders in this sector to function properly, there is the requisite skill set that they need. But for some reason, there's been a disparity in those skill sets and competencies for these employees, as opposed to what is, what they need to, as opposed to rather the demands of the job. Why do you think this is, and how can it be, tackled?
Okay, I think, in my own opinion, that we are lacking behind in the international level or exposure, and we do not have enough skills. And at this point, we are still trying to leverage on just digital technology when the world has gone AI. And that's a huge gap. Sometimes you want to send a letter from one ministry to the other, they still need to do that physically, when you can just send an email and they will receive it, to cutting expenditure. For example, the cost of coming from maybe Lagos to Abuja, for example. Now, instead of taking a flight and wasting resources, they could easily send an email or a letter electronically, for example. And most of these parastatals did not even do that. And I think we need to develop those skill sets, in the public sector. There needs to be like a development of technology. We do not have enough, knowledge in terms of technology. So I think we need to develop the digital technology, not just for the populace now, but for the civil servants. There needs to be like a lot of development for digital and digital technology and information communication technology in the public sector. Thank you.
Now, let me come to you, Ms. Wilson, if you can hear me. Now, we have a lot of these gaps for a lot of professionals in both the public and private sector. Can you walk us through some of these, deficient skills or these essential skills that are missing? Doctor here has talked about digital technology, as he were, which for all intents and purposes seems like the one that a lot of people cast their attention to when we talk about leveling up skill-wise, as he were. So can you walk us through some of the others that are very, very key, and how to go about getting them?
Yes, of course. So one of the essential skill sets that individuals need to possess, whether in government, is going to be financial literacy, and all of that it encompasses. Financial literacy is really important for individuals to understand, because if you can understand how to manage your own personal finances, you have a better foundation in regards to understanding what the government should be doing with public financial management. Additionally, having finance and accounting as a skill is also essential in being able to understand the importance and need for transparency, and also how to hold individuals and the government accountable to where income and expenditure should be going. So I definitely would say those are the two skill sets that individuals need, which again are financial literacy, but also understanding of how to manage their personal finances, and also how to help and assist with public financial management. This way, how money moves throughout the nation and also in their individual households can be managed really well. I do believe that wealth is a key to having everyone be able to properly participate in the government, knowing what their role is, know how to manage their finances, hold their government accountable, so that we can have a more empowered nation overall.
Very interesting point you've made. It seems like a lot, and I'm going to unpack them very, very gradually. In fact, I will pulverize it, break it down into very small details in the coming minutes. But I'm going to come back to Dr. Akinsemoyin here. Let's talk PPPs, public-private partnerships, as I hinted not too long ago. Now, as far as the Nigerian context is concerned, let's talk about some of the key principles of PPPs, essentially the process and mechanism to it all. Simply put, how do they work?
Okay. So as a consultant in the management sector under the public-private partnership, what we do is we bring individuals that have money to invest in the nation's growth, and we bring the government together, because the government cannot do everything, and they need to generate income through financial literacy, through taxation and all of that. And if there's no economic activities going on, how will the government generate money? So that is where we come in, and we identify opportunities in several sectors, and we say, okay, you are an investor, you have certain amount of money to invest, and the government is looking for people to invest in this type of thing. we bring them together. So we just forge like a broker. We are like a broker company. We ensure that there is smooth running of whatever investment that is going on, be it people investment, be it capacity development, be it resource development in the nation. That's where we come in. For example, we have a client that is interested in the mineral resources, and we don't have a plant that processes natural minerals like essentials, like maybe diamonds and all of that. So these clients, they are interested in getting raw materials, raw minerals from the country. And the government, for example, can say, we are looking for investors, to come and invest in this sector. So what we do is we take them through the process, ensure that the people that they employ, for example, the labor force, they are well taken care of, they pay their taxes, they make their revenue, and everything is going on smoothly. So we are that firm that makes things run very well. So that's what public-private partnership looks like in a nutshell.
Now, how do you identify the sort of infrastructure that could possibly require a private partnership to be involved in moving that particular project forward or actualizing the goal of said project?
Thank you. So that is why, as an innovator that I am, I look for solutions, and as a governance expert that I am, I see, and a public administrator, so I look at where I think the government can grow. I identify it. That's what we do at the company. So we identify these sectors through research, through policies that the government put out there. So we study these policies and see, okay, this is how we can come in and let the government grow, and increase economic activities. And for example, what we are doing currently with FOLAFi Financial LLC, we introduced what we call the FOLA Global Apprenticeship, and where we take people to learn financial skills, SELT, and we develop it for them because we realize that there is a deficiency in the taxation, opportunities in the government. People are not paying tax, they're not filing. So we identified that bridge, and we decided to come in and see how we can help the government solve that taxation problem. And we're at it. So that's just an example of it.
All right, let's do more with focusing on the actual conversation, the actual issues, as opposed to the other aspect of it which you do on a personal level. So I know that a lot of these public partnerships, as you were, entail a lot, and for some reason, a lot of them don't exactly go according to plan. So in your view, as a professional, what would you say is the reason why some PPPs fail? And what are some common, if you like, errors that either the government or whoever it is, the entity that is getting into these, partnerships, what do they need to avoid in order to have a smooth running of said project?
Yeah, thank you. There are set rules, the regulatory rules by the government, and sometimes people do not. Some of these firms do not follow those regulatory rules, and it becomes an issue when the government is asking, "Did you register? Did you do this? Are you in compliance with this?" That is just one of the hurdles that we face, and another is funding of the project, because these are very large projects, and convincing an investor, to invest in such projects, it's kind of how do I put it now? It's a tax, because sometimes the government will just come up with a certain policy that would affect investors, and investors would like to stay where they are wanted, not in a hostile environment. So these are just some of the few hurdles that we have in the public-private partnership sector.
I'm going to take that point you mentioned, which is funding, and come to you, Ms. Wilson. So let's talk about funding or financing options, that is, for public-private partnerships, as you were. I reckon it's mostly, finance intensive, if I should use that term, as you were. So in your view, as a financial expert, what sort of means or ways would you say that public-private partnerships could source for financing that wouldn't particularly be problematic to any of the parties involved?
do believe that upskilling is going to be a direct solution. So the way our program is going to work pretty much is that individuals can apply, then they're able to take training that we offer for free. So upfront, there's not much investment cost on us. The training program, we also run it here in the US and in other different countries, so they can take the program for free. Once they take the program, you're also able to see their commitment to learning and upscaling and investing in themselves. Once they've been with us for 3 months, they can then apply to work with us for the full of next year, which we do compensate them for. So for us, it's an investment upfront in their education. As long as they can show that they are committed and they are learning what we are presenting to them, they get certified in certain areas. So right now we're working on a tax certification. Next we'll have a bookkeeping certification. Then they actually get to work with us. So rather than it being so much cost on us, they actually are going to allow this to work out for us all by allowing them to use their skill, service clients. So of course the firm will grow in revenue, but also we'll be able to compensate them for the work that they do, just like we would any other staff. So pretty much it allows us to create a win-win
Okay, Miss Wilson, can
situation.
you hear me? Do I have your attention?
Yes,
Okay. I was
yes.
asking about financing options for public-private partnerships. I understand the direction which you are going with this, but I want you to give us your, insight as a finance expert with regards to sources of funding for public-private partnerships.
Yes. So the example that I was mentioning is the funding coming more so from the private side of it, so the company that is in the partnership. But of course, there is ways that you can get the government involved. There's grants that are available based upon what type of programs that you are running, especially when you're working to solve the government's problems, right? So right now, a lot of governments, their issues are things like unemployment, not a lot of jobs. So if you are working in areas where you are helping the government solve their problems, you can apply for certain grants and funding to help fund these type of projects.
Interesting. Now let's come back to you, Dr. Akinsemoyin. Now, there are also some key challenges in implementation of, PPPs, as you were, that, in some way would impede the promotion of economic growth and development. Can you walk us through some of these challenges that perhaps these private partners encounter, and even on the side of the government encounter, that could possibly pose as an impediment to the success of said project and or the growth of the wider economy?
Thank you. Like I said earlier, I said policies implementation, and sometimes you don't have like a certain government for a number of years. Sometimes there is a change in government, sometimes every 2 years, every 4 years, and they can just come. There's no rule of law, for example. They do not follow the rule of law. They just come and, terminate, whatever you're trying to like upscale with the investors in this sector. And it's just going to affect the industry that you're trying to build, like the policies. And when one investor sees what is going on and that this investment is going down the drain, I don't think the other investors would, want to come in there. And that's one. And also we have a problem of skill. A lot of people are just, they have their certifications, but they do not have the required set skills, to compete in the global market. And I think that also needs to do with our education sector, because they do not teach relevant skills anymore that are very important, to this. We are focused more on getting the certificates, the degree, rather than building the skill set, So for me, I think education is also, and skill set is also one of the issues that we have, at the moment.
Now, another issue which, I've been made to be aware of is the individuals playing in this sector. Now, you just talked about the fact that there's, a large skill gap, which is quite obvious. So on an individual level, do you, in your experience, that is, encounter challenges with certain individuals who are perhaps, or perhaps not, set in their ways and are maybe slightly unyielding towards what obtains in the world today as far as tech is concerned?
Okay, I'd like to use an example for something we recently did. And we were going through the screening phase for a particular program that we were recruiting people, and they were not even prepared, for this interview. And, they came online. Some of them, came in late, to their interview session. Some of them were finding it difficult, with accessing or navigating the apps, and some of them were not even passionate about what they were doing. And I find it difficult to comprehend what they are doing. They just think money is just going to fall off from somewhere, and they're just going to live their life. So I think we need to change the orientation of young Nigerians, for example, especially, is that the money is not going to fall from somewhere. You need to develop these skills that you have to be able to make money. And they do not understand what we call delayed gratification. They just want to, wake up every morning and spend money lavishly. There is no financial skill set, like Sheneya has said. They don't know how to manage their own finances properly. So if you don't know how to manage your own finance or manage yourself properly, how do you want to develop yourself, and how do you want to be a productive citizen? So this for me some of the challenges that I have faced, and I still do not know how to navigate it, because the popular adage that says you cannot force the horse to the river and force it to drink. So it's the horse's choice, So we will keep doing what we are doing, to provide the skill set in the best possible ways. And we are hopeful that people would accept, young Nigerians especially would accept and grow and understand what delayed gratification is, and not just want to spend away their future right now.
Now, I'm going to also harp on what you mentioned about education and teaching some of these things to these individuals, especially younger Nigerians. I'm going to go one further and go to the much, much younger Nigerians. Now, education has been known to be an instrument of social engineering and societal development. Now, a lot of the stakeholders in the education sector have posited that tech knowledge, or tech education, so to speak, as it were, and even financial education should be taught not just to growing adults, young Nigerians or adolescents, but they should be taught at the fundamental level of education, which is in elementary school. We're talking from your primary one, or your basic one, as it is called these days, as it were. What do you share that sentiment?
Yes, of course. And use my daughter, for example. She's just 5 years old. And the day before she was born, I actually had like the savings account I had for her. And when she was 3 months old, I took her to the bank, and one of the banks, and we opened the children's savings account for her. And when she turned 2, she's super smart, and she used to see me just throw in some of the change, inside my saving button. She's like, "Mommy, I want one." And, I got it for her. And over time, if she gets gift, she doesn't spend the money. She just, throws it in there, and she has it. And at the end of the year, she puts the money together. We take it to her bank account and we save. So for me, that is just like one example. And I think, children, they learn from adults. If your parents or the adult that is taking care of the children does not have proper financial understanding or management, I don't know. I don't think they will be able, to teach them. So basically, I would encourage schools, primary schools, to introduce business education, financial literacy at the barest minimum.
All right, let's come back to you, Sheneya. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
To continue from where Dr. Akinsemoyin stopped or left off, let's come back to you with your initial thoughts. Remember, I said we're going to, go back to it, talk about financial literacy, personal finance, and all the other things. So we've talked about, financial literacy for much younger individuals, right? To teach them, as they say, catch them young, teach them at a very, very young age when their minds are still very, sharp and are like sponges. They're very impressionable. So at that time, it's advisable to teach them, all they need to know about finance. But on a broader scale, you notice that business owners, a lot of them, especially small business owners, they don't particularly have the requisite financial literacy skills to be able to keep up with the world today, the business landscape, as it were, or the business world today. Why do you think this is, and what can be done to help them begin to, find a way around these hurdles, as it were? How can we spread the message of financial literacy?
Yes, of course. So specifically with small businesses, a lot of individuals that start small businesses are starting it from a passion, right? I'm good at baking, so I'm going to open a bakery. I'm good at making clothes, I'm going to create a business where I'm making clothes. The thing about it is you won't learn business skills unless you've been to business school or you have experience running a business. So if you're starting a small business, you may not have been exposed to certain concepts such as understanding the significance of accounting. So having your income and expenses being tracked, understanding your balance sheet, your liabilities, and how that affects the equity that you have in your business. You may not understand how like contracts are important and how like getting the help of a lawyer or an accountant is important in your business. So I do know that in a lot of economies, small businesses actually power them. Here in America, small businesses employ 80% of our workforce. In Nigeria, there's so many small businesses. Every time I visit, there's so many people that are hustling. And I'm like, if they had these skills to help them go from hustle to business owner, they'll be a lot better to help employ other individuals in their communities as well. So they need to learn how to actually build proper infrastructure, which again, I didn't, learn just from school either. It also comes through experience. So having those mentors, those coaches and individuals who run successful businesses also give guidance on how to do things like build staff, train staff, get more customers, market. There's so much that goes into running a business. It is definitely not easy, but whatever we can do to support individuals that are looking to skill and scale their small business, we should definitely pour into it because small businesses do have the potential to, again, make a change in regards to how finances are being translated to the various aspects of society.
Very interesting stuff. We're going to talk more about this after the break. You're still watching Market Insight here on SOUQ News Television. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Market Insight here on SOUQ News Television. We're still talking about addressing the skills gap in the public sector using fintech as a tool, if you like, to drive the processes of PPPs, that's public-private partnerships for economic development in Nigeria. And we've touched on a few pivotal aspects of the conversation, and then we're going to continue from where we left off. In this case, we're talking fintech, financial technology, and this is us pivoting to that very crucial aspect of today's business world, as you were. And fintech in Nigeria, as you know, has gained significant traction in recent years, and it's largely driven by a rapid, fast-growing economy, increasing mobile penetration, and also growing demand for digital financial services. So I'm going to come back to Ms. Wilson, who, by the way, has been with us on the conversation this morning. Ms. Wilson is a financial expert, and also Dr. Temitope Akinsemoyin, also with us in the studio, who's a public administrator and a management consultant. But I'm going to stick with you for the time being, Ms. Wilson. First off, in the Nigerian context, what sort of challenges have there been, in your view, with fintech? You can take that from the Nigerian context and also from the African context as well.
I do believe that one of the biggest challenges is access. Access in various different ways. Number one is being able to access being online, right? If we can create financial technology we need to be able to get this to the end user. So internet infrastructure is really important. Being able to have access to good, data plans so that you can even utilize these softwares and technologies with ease is really, really important. The second issue is going to be just understanding of what these tools are going to be needed and used for. So even if people do have data available or Wi-Fi available, they may not be using it to search for different solutions because it's not something that you're going to see when you're just scrolling online. You have to seek these type of assistance. So I do believe that just exposure to how fintech can be a powerful tool to help them manage their finances or manage their small business is going to be important. And for that to happen, we have to be able to properly address the market. So whether it is doing, in-person meetups or just marketing online, but making sure to be able to properly target our demographics, exposing people to how fintech can help them exponentially grow their wealth is really, really important. But we do need the infrastructure to help them do that for sure.
Speaking about access, as you mentioned a moment ago, a lot of quarters, or if you like, sectors in this part of the world aren't particularly democratized. So in your view, how can that be made possible? How can it really truly be made possible? How can we democratize access to financial technology?
Yeah, so I would say that it's going to come down with like partnerships, right? So being able to partner with companies that can help us create the infrastructure that's needed for individuals to find us, to seek the solutions and seek the support. I think that is definitely going to be the most thing. The good thing about having fintech and being able to offer these type of services and products online is that it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter, where you are physically located. As long as you can get online, you can get the access that you need to the global atmosphere and get the solutions that are going to help impact where you are right now.
So let's also speak about this in the context of public-private partnerships, as you were. We've been talking about the skills deficit or the skills gap in that particular space. Help us draw a nexus, draw parallels, if you want to put it that way, between fintech, PPPs, and how these two can can combine or come together to, enhance capabilities of professionals in the working space, whether it's public or private sector.
Yes, for sure. So again, the goal is to allow individuals to empower themselves and then go ahead and empower the nation, right? So with fintech and other technologies, we can go ahead and utilize those type of training programs to upskill individuals to gain the skills that they need to be more competitive in the global workplace. This is going to help bring more income to them, and then they can go ahead and utilize that income to help power, the government and their system. What we want to do is educate these individuals on the importance of how they interact with the government, right? Fintech tools can be utilized as those things to help them organize their personal finances. So, for example, for small businesses that may not pay taxes because of the difficulty or lack of understanding in regards to like their responsibility with paying taxes, we can create financial technology that allows them to organize their business financial data, come up with tax projections, and give them more insights in regards to their obligations so that they're going to be more inclined to go ahead and pay their taxes. Of course, tax revenue is a significant part to how most governments thrive. So we are pretty much using financial technology to make it more easy for individuals to participate. So as Time mentioned, a lot of times things are still being done via paper, but with financial technology, these type of transactions can happen more quickly and more efficiently. But that also comes down to the importance of these partnerships in regards to every stakeholder understanding their responsibility, equipping each side with the proper education, and then the fintech tools to make these type of possibilities actually happen.
You speak about these fintech tools, beg your pardon, without having to advertise per se. Are there some of these tools that can be readily available or accessed by professionals to help catalyze, or if you like, galvanize their businesses and or their tasks professionally?
Yes. So there's many tools that are available. However, one of the things is understanding the knowledge gap and understanding how to utilize these tools as well. So think of like a hammer. Someone can give you a hammer, but if you never knew how to like use that hammer to hammer a nail, is that hammer doing its purpose, right? And that's how technology works as well. So yes, they are available, but what are we doing to help individuals understand the fundamental value of what these type of technology solutions are offering? That is definitely the thing that we want to hammer in first, no pun intended. Also, some technologies may be too more sophisticated for like medium and larger businesses. There's not many that cater to the small business where we just need simple solutions, which is also an area of interest and of growth. So I do believe that, again, having training sessions also will be of value as well. So for the softwares that do provide solutions, I'm thinking about how we can train individuals in them to properly utilize them so that they're not just expensing the cost and not getting any benefit. The goal of investing in anything in your business is to get a return on investment, an ROI. So if I'm a small business owner, and for the small business owners out there who are watching this, I do understand the importance of being able to not just pay for a software to use it, but how is this going to help my business scale? Is it going to help me, grow in clientele or grow in operational efficiency? And yes, managing your finances is the easiest way to properly be able to make decisions in your business. We can't think of when to hire, how to expand without being confident in what our financial statements are saying to us. So again, the goal of Fintech is to help these small business owners be really clear on what is needed for them to grow into scale so that they can hopefully, again, employ their neighbors, employ their community, and we can help impact the local economy and hopefully also on a grander scale as well.
Thank you very much. Now let's come back to you, Dr. Akinsemoyin. This will be a corollary, if you like, as we start to close the program. We've talked about a lot of things, from public-private partnerships to education that's educating individuals with regards to technology and the requisite skills that they need to upgrade, as you were, and function in today's business landscape. But then again, there's the role of resource management and capacity development. So what is the role of tech, which we're talking about right now? What's the role of that with regards to what I've just mentioned, talking about enhancing resource management and capacity development, particularly in the public space?
Okay, so technology, like I said earlier, is finding a way to do things better. So, when you mention tech to Africans, they always think tech is one big thing. Technology is just simply finding an easier way to do things. So then when you now go into technology, then you can start breaking down what type of technology. So, but for harnessing skill sets in public-private partnerships, like we're discussing now, technology helps to access tools. Like Sheneya has said, like the internet, for example, it's a technology. And there are softwares that you can use, like, okay, not to sound promotional,
Go on.
but there are bookkeeping applications, there are bookkeeping softwares that, people can use to track their income, their expenditure, their tax, and, all of that. So technology helps, individuals to access, these tools. So that's, for me, is the role of technology in harnessing tools like this.
Right. Now, how do we create a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship? I know that you've been in, several of these programs, so to speak, where you pass on some insights, as it were. So, in your view, how do we create a much more thriving, richer culture of innovation and entrepreneurship?
Okay, so I've spoken to, at least in the last 7 years, over 10,000 people directly. and indirectly over 200,000 people. But one thing is common: trust. A lot of these people do not trust the government. And I think the government needs to do a lot of work in terms of awareness. So a lot of people think, they registering for their tax number, they paying tax, them getting financial literacy is the government wanting to take away from them without the government giving them back. And I think the government has a lot of work to do in that field, because businesses that don't even earn up to 25 million naira in a year are not meant to pay tax, but they are meant to file their income and expenditure so the government can track the economic growth. But these people do not have access to this information. They just think the government wants to take away from them. So they don't even want to, when you're talking to them about financial literacy, skills, taxation, they don't even want to hear you. And, over time, I've been able to, in my own little space, convince these people and say, okay, you need to trust the government. So I'll say that the government needs a lot of work in awareness. It's not just what an individual can do, because the government has the funding capacity, to run some of this program. There needs to be like serious awareness on the importance of financial literacy, taxation, and you can see what the current government is trying to do is create revenue through tax, and a lot of people are not having it. On the long run, it's a very good policy, but on the short run, like I always say, who's going to bear the brunt? So that's what I would say on that.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Akinsemoyin. For some final words, I'm going to come back to you, Ms. Wilson. In the Nigerian context, just as yours truly and Dr. Akinsemoyin earlier spoke about finance at the fundamental, or teaching finance or teaching financial literacy at the fundamental level, you wonder where we go from here as far as that particular, concern is, as far as that particular issue rather is concerned. We have a culture where, people just want to, get by, where people just want their kids to study what it is that they want them to study without particularly paying attention to the details of, what happens in the world today, especially when it concerns money and everything else that, they have to do, or everything else that they're involved in professionally, as it were. So as a recommendation from your end, what would you say to people like these? We're talking about parents, we're talking about guardians, we're talking about, other stakeholders with regards to teaching or imparting the knowledge of financial literacy.
Yes. So the goal is to create generational wealth, right? We want the next generation to be way better off than we were, but we also want that wealth to be sustained, right? And the way it's sustained is through education. You can, have someone inherit $1 million or $1 million naira, but if they don't have the knowledge of how to use that money for the better good of advancing, continuously investing and saving for the next generation, then it can easily go to waste. This is why education is so important. It also brings households together. Being able to have conversations at the dinner table about how we manage finances in the household, right? Everyone typically is bringing an income if you're more of an adult in the household. But even if you're not bringing income and you have children at the table that hear these conversations, it's going to give them a greater sense of understanding, and also a pride that they're going to have to be able to also, participate in how to contribute to the family's wealth building. Because wealth doesn't just, it's created by one person. It is created by a tribe. Our immediate tribe is going to be our family. And this is why it's important for all of the members in our family to be educated so we can work together to make these strides and create generational wealth, not just for ourselves, but for the next generations to come. So financial literacy is super important. And I hope that individuals at least get the free resources. So whether it's going to vetted channels on YouTube or connecting with local accountants, to get the support that you need, so that you can take these skills, teach it to your kids, and then again, use these as a platform to help build wealth for your future.
Thank you very, very much. Well said. And ladies and gentlemen, that's Sheneya Wilson. She is a leading finance expert and fintech professional, also the founder and CEO of FOLAFi Financial LLC, a premier financial services firm that delivers comprehensive accounting and tax solutions. She's also known, informally as the People's CPA. Many thanks, Ms. Wilson, for joining us on the program this morning. And also having joined us in the studio, Dr. Temitope Akinsemoyin, a public administrator, management consultant, and the founder as well as the principal partner and CEO of Stanchion TM Consults, Nigeria, a leading firm providing innovative solutions through technology. Again, thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us.
Pleasure.
Right, we've been talking about addressing the skills gap in the public sector using fintech vis-a-vis public-private partnerships, and we have talked about it from quite a number of angles, with regards to both the public sector and the concept of public-private partnerships, what essentially drives this particular process, or what sort of in what sort of ways that is being implemented, as it were, and the gaps, or the skills gaps rather, that have been identified so far in making these projects work, or making these projects tick, if you like, and how to bridge those gaps. Also, tangentially spoken about financial literacy, fintech first of all, then financial literacy, the application of the former to PPPs, and of course financial literacy at the very basic level, and the fact that we all need it for all intents and purposes in our daily life, whether or not you are a business owner or not. You need personal finance. You need the knowledge of personal finance to be able to handle yourself, talking about your taxes, your savings, your budgeting, everything else that you do on a daily basis that requires some sort of monetary infusion, as you were. You do in turn need it, and that's exactly what we have been able to get from the conversation from Miss Wilson, as well as Dr. Temitope here with us in the studio. Many thanks for joining us on Market Insight. But before we go, let's take a quick look at what the currency market looks like today, the 10th of September, 2024. On the official market, the dollar is trading to the the US dollar is trading to the naira at 1,575 naira. To the pound sterling, it's trading at 2,095 naira. To the euro, 1,773 naira. That's all on the official market. On the parallel market, we have the dollar trading to the naira at 1,646 naira, to the pound sterling 2,153 naira, and of course to the euro 1,816 naira. That's what it looks like in both the official market and the parallel market. And that's our total package for you today on the program Market Insight. Looking forward to yet another insightful edition tomorrow. Do keep a date with us and stay very close to your set on SOUQ News Television. My name is David Chiedu. Have a wonderful day.